At the age of 17, my sister went to Tsinghua University and Peking University, but I had to drop out of school and get engaged to an honest man from the same village. 4 years later, I became a full-time rich wife with a monthly allowance of 100,000 yuan. My sister also had a successful academic career, but she always complained about the hard work. She was jealous of my glamorous life and set my house on fire, burning me to death. Later, we were both reborn, and my sister chose to marry my husband in my previous life before me. She didn't know that this would be the beginning of her nightmare. Chapter 1. Oh, congratulations, Sister Lu, both of your daughters have been admitted to Tsinghua University and Peking University, so promising. Facing the neighbors who came to congratulate, my mother looked worried. With the conditions at home, we can't afford to support one, let alone two. The neighbor was also in trouble. It's not easy for our village to have 2 college students, we can't delay it. I suddenly came to my senses and coughed violently, and the pain of the burnt flesh seemed to still permeate my body. My mother frowned at me. What's wrong with you again? Looking at the scene in front of me, I realized that I was reborn. My father passed away early, and my mother barely supported the family by farming. In the previous life, it happened that the only rich man in the village had taken a fancy to my sister and me. He said that either my sister or I could marry him, and he was willing to pay a gift of 100,000 yuan. After my sister learned about it, she knelt in front of my mother and me, crying and saying how much she wanted to study, and that going to Tsinghua University and Peking University was her lifelong dream, and she hoped that my mother and I could fulfill her wish. My mother was originally biased towards my sister, and after my sister begged like this, my mother immediately decided to let me give up my studies and get engaged to the rich man. I will never forget the look in my mother's eyes at that time. Leah, your sister has been smarter than you since she was a child, and she learns things much faster than you. You are so stupid that you can't keep up with Tsinghua University and Peking University, so you might as well let your sister go. I admit that my sister is smarter than me and I am a little slow in learning things. But I have put in 10 times more effort than her and my college entrance examination score is 30 points higher than hers. Why should I give up the opportunity to go to college? Tsinghua University and Peking University are universities that everyone dreams of going to. Is it only my sister who wants to go? Mom, I want to go to school too. My mom immediately changed her expression. How can you be so selfish? The family can't afford to support both of you. If you don't get married, how will your sister go to school? My eyes were filled with tears of grievance. I bit my lip and said nothing. I knew that no matter what I said, it would be useless because my mother had already made up her mind. Leah, Charlie is an honest man, you will never suffer any loss if you follow him. And his family is the richest in our village, it is your blessing to marry him. I gritted my teeth and nodded. My mother received a betrothal gift of 100,000 yuan and finally sent my sister to Tsinghua University and Peking University. And I worked hard with Charlie and became a full-time housewife for years later. Charlie gave me 100,000 yuan in pocket money every month. I only needed to eat, drink, play, go shopping and spend money every day, and I didn't have to worry about anything else. My sister also graduated from Tsinghua University and Peking University, has a decent job, and a boyfriend who loves her very much. She could have lived a happy life, but when she saw my glamorous and wealthy life, she was jealous and crazy, and she reached out to me. Just like in the previous life, the Zhao family came to discuss marriage again. This time, my sister still knelt in front of my mother. Mom, let me marry Charlie. I am the elder sister, I should give in to my younger sister. Such a rare opportunity to go to Tsinghua University and Peking University should be left to Leah. When she said these words, I knew that my sister was also reborn. Second section. My mother pulled my sister up from the ground. Heather, this is the time to decide your fate, don't be impulsive. Mom, I'm not impulsive, I really want to marry Charlie. It was difficult for my mother to understand my sister's thoughts, but she finally chose to respect them. Your sister gave you such a precious opportunity, you must cherish it, do you hear me? My mother glared at me, as if I had robbed my sister of her chance to go to school. But it doesn't matter, as long as I can go to Tsinghua University and Peking University, I can change the tragic fate of my previous life. My mother accepted the 100,000 yuan betrothal gift from the Zhao family, but she gave 60,000 yuan to my sister so that she could keep it for herself. When it came to me, there was only 20,000 yuan left. Our family is in such a condition, and Mom can only take out this much. If it is not enough, you can find a way yourself. Even this money is earned by your sister's sacrifice. When you have a promising future, you must repay your sister well. I nodded and swallowed all the bitterness. In my junior year, my sister, who I hadn't contacted for a long time, came to Beijing to visit me. She showed off her new bag to me. Is it nice? This is LV, which costs more than 10,000 yuan. You are a country bumpkin, you must have never even heard of it. I just got the marriage certificate with your brother-in-law, and this is the wedding gift he gave me. I smiled. Brother-in-law is so good to you. Of course. My sister was very proud, our village was demolished, and your brother-in-law's house is the largest, and he got more than 1 million yuan. My sister was so happy. You are not as lucky as me. What's the point of going to Tsinghua University or Peking University? You still have to work for others after graduation. I follow your brother-in-law, and my daily job is to spend money. So finding a good man is better than anything else. Sister, I really envy you. My sister showed a satisfied look. It's useless to envy, you are born to be a cheap life. I laughed in my heart, your good days are coming to an end. In my previous life, I followed Charlie as a nanny for 3 years, serving him and his family. Later, the village was demolished, and Charlie's family got a sum of money. He used the money to do business and made a fortune. After Charlie got rich, he developed many special fetishes. He likes role-playing, and he plays it in a flowery and perverted way. He would try all the sadistic plots that only appear in color movies on me. He also secretly recorded our sex life, including those scenes that tortured me, to threaten me. He also drank alcohol and beat me when he was drunk. I was already pregnant, but he beat me to miscarriage, and I could never be a mother again. He kept several peripheral girls outside, and he got a dirty disease and passed it on to me. And he also likes World Cup betting, and he is so obsessed that he even mortgages all his property. I didn't dare to leave him because he threatened me with those videos and threatened to kill my whole family. His mother and father were not good people either. His mother treated me like a servant and his father always wanted to take advantage of me. Once his father broke into my room under the influence of alcohol and forced me to have sex with him. If I hadn't smashed his father's head with a vase, his father would have succeeded. Afterwards, he and his mother both thought that I seduced his father, and they beat me together, breaking my body in many places, and 3 ribs were broken, almost piercing my lungs. I stayed in the hospital for a month before I was saved. After being discharged from the hospital, Charlie forced me to have sex with him regardless of my unhealed body, causing me to be hospitalized for the 2nd time. The days with Charlie were simply worse than death. Now this purgatory-like life, my good sister is eager to bear it for me. Chapter 3. After graduating from college, I stayed in Taipei City and interned at a well-known local law firm. I also took out a loan to buy a small car for transportation. My sister and Charlie brought my mother to Taipei City. My sister asked me to have dinner together, and in the restaurant, I met my mother whom I hadn't seen for 4 years. Leah, this is your brother-in-law. When she introduced him, she deliberately showed me her newly bought bag. In my previous life, I also had an identical one, a limited edition Chanel, which cost 100,000. My eyes collided with Charlie's, and my body trembled uncontrollably. All the memories of being tortured by him were vivid, and I began to retch. When my mother saw me, she immediately showed a disgusted expression. You didn't mess around outside and get yourself pregnant, did you? I just feel a little uncomfortable. My sister folded her hands in front of her chest. How could she get pregnant? If she wants to get pregnant, I have to get pregnant first. Charlie looked at me with a disgusting look. Leah doesn't have a boyfriend yet. Does your brother-in-law need to introduce you to one? No, I have a boyfriend. I took out my phone and found a photo of me and Alex. This is my boyfriend. My sister came over to look, and then her eyes froze. He is just a small policeman, not very promising. I raised my eyebrows and looked at her playfully. Sister, how do you know what my boyfriend does? My sister avoided her eyes. I just guessed. Alex was my sister's boyfriend in her previous life. He was tall and handsome, forming a sharp contrast with the short and ugly Charlie. In her previous life, Alex took good care of my sister, but my sister thought he was underpaid in the system. My sister doesn't know how much I envied her in my previous life. She graduated from a prestigious university, had a decent job, and had a handsome boyfriend who had eyes only for her. I only looked good on the outside, but my heart was already broken. If my sister could care about me a little more, she would find that I was actually living a far worse life than she was. During the meal, my sister's arm was exposed when she was picking up food, and there was a purple scar on it. I grabbed my sister's wrist. How did you get this? Were you beaten? My sister quickly pulled her hand back and pulled her sleeve to cover it. No, I accidentally did it myself. My mother grabbed her arm and rolled up her sleeve to check. This look scared my mother so much that she gasped. My sister's arm was covered with purple bloodstains, just like the ancient whipping. Heather, how did you get this? Who beat you? My mother wiped her tears distressfully. Tell me who beat you, I won't let him go. My sister pulled her arm back and pulled up her sleeve. Mom, no one beat me, I was just joking. How can you get like this just for fun? Tell me the truth. Oh, it's okay, hurry up and eat. My sister argued with my mother for a long time and finally fooled the matter over. Charlie didn't say a word the whole time and lowered his head very low. The wound was obviously caused by a belt, which is Charlie's special interest. There are so many scars on his arms, and there must be more on his body. I didn't have a single piece of good flesh on my body in my previous life. This little wound can only be regarded as an appetizer, and the main course is still to come. The fourth quarter. During the meal, Charlie kept lowering his head to send messages. My sister saw it and frowned, but didn't say anything. After eating a few bites, Charlie went to the bathroom, and my sister followed him. My mother and I were left staring at each other. How much is your monthly salary now? You don't even know to give me money to show your filial piety even though you're working. I've really raised you in vain. We got a lot of money when our house was demolished, but you didn't even say you'd give me some money to pay for my tuition and living expenses. We're both on the same side, so let's not blame each other. Unfilial son, it's not easy for me to raise you. You didn't even come back to see me once during your 4 years at university. You're such an ungrateful person. The round-trip ticket is very expensive, and if I go home, I can't work to earn money. Will you give me tuition and living expenses for next year? My mother knew she was sorry for me, but she didn't allow me to mock her. She was so angry that she threw a cup at me. You went to Tsinghua and Peking University in vain. If I had known I'd teach you such an ungrateful person, I should have let your sister go to school. That's great. If my sister had gone to school, I'd be the one enjoying the good life with my brother-in-law now. My mother was about to scold me when I got up and went to the bathroom. At the bathroom door, I saw my sister and Charlie talking, so I didn't rush over. Then I heard my sister say, "Hurry up and break up with those questionable women outside, do you hear me? We are having dinner together as a family, and you keep sending messages to them. You ignore my mother when she talks to you. Do you still have me in your eyes?" Charlie was very impatient. "You can't satisfy me, and you don't let me find someone outside. Isn't your request too much? I am a woman. I always have a few days every month when I am not convenient. I have tried my best to satisfy you. What else do you want from me? Those women outside are so dirty. If you touch them, don't touch me again. If you don't want me to find someone outside, you can ask your sister to accompany me. Are you crazy? This is impossible. Then stop talking so much nonsense. If you keep nagging, I won't give you money next month." Hearing these words, my stomach churned. After finally adjusting myself, I turned back to the dining table. Not long after, Charlie and my sister also came back. Charlie kept looking at me with obscene eyes and touched me with his toes under the table. I endured the physical discomfort, found an excuse and left quickly. Unexpectedly, a month later, my sister drove directly to the door of my unit and said she would take me to see the big villa she had just bought. I didn't want to go at all, but she pulled me hard and forced me into the car. I felt that something was wrong with my sister, so I sent a WeChat message to Alex, shared my location, and asked him to come find me. My sister's car finally stopped at the door of a villa. I was very familiar with this place. In my previous life, I was burned to death by her here. It's magnificent. You can't live in a house like this even if you work hard all your life. Today, I will let you take advantage of me and let you see it. I was pulled into the villa by her. The environment inside was too familiar to me. There were many unbearable memories here. Sit anywhere. My sister poured me a glass of red wine. 82, try it. I picked up the red wine and took a sip symbolically. My sister sat next to me, looking at me all the time, without saying a word. My hair stood on end when she looked at me. "Why are you looking at me like that?" My sister sneered. "If I hadn't suddenly found out I was pregnant, how could I have let you, a money loser, get her?" As soon as she finished speaking, I felt weak all over and my vision began to blur. "There's something in the wine. What did you give me to drink?" "Don't worry, it's not poison, it's just something to make you obedient." I struggled to stand up, but I couldn't muster any strength. In a trance, I saw someone approaching me. I couldn't see who he was, but I heard him say, "Heather, you really brought your sister to me." Chapter 5. My heart skipped a beat, and I knew what was going to happen next. Charlie came over and picked me up. I was so frightened that I had to bite the root of my tongue. The intense pain made me sober instantly, and I bit Charlie's ear. "Hey! You dead woman!" Charlie let go of me, and I fell to the ground and spit out a bloody ear. My ear, my ear. I bit off half of Charlie's ear, and half of his body was stained with blood. "Bitch, I'm going to kill you." I rolled and crawled towards the door, but my sister suddenly appeared and blocked my way. At this critical moment, there was a rapid knock on the door. Just as they were stunned, I pushed my sister in front of me away and ran to the door to open it. Alex outside the door was shocked to see my mouth full of blood. Alex held me and said, "What did you do to her?" Charlie saw Alex was still arrogant and said, "Who are you? This is our family affair, what do you have to do with it?" "I'm Leah's boyfriend and a policeman." When Charlie heard that Alex was a policeman, he immediately got scared. "It was her. She bit off my ear." Alex looked at me with a pained look. I leaned on his shoulder and said, "Heather put something in my drink. Charlie wanted to do something bad to me. I'm going to sue them." Alex's face turned pale with anger. He lifted me up and said, "Please come back to the police station with me." My sister was still very stubborn and said, "Why should I go to the police station with you? She only said one-sided things and she has no evidence. Now I want to send my husband to the hospital. Can you take the responsibility if he is delayed?" Alex didn't care about them and sent me to the hospital first. Then Alex asked his colleagues to arrest Charlie and his sister. As soon as they drove to the hospital, they were arrested by the police. In the hospital, Alex held my hand with great distress. "I'm sorry, I didn't protect you well." I shook my head at him, and the wound on my tongue hurt me so much that I broke out in a cold sweat. Alex clenched his fists. "I will definitely bring them to justice." At this time, my phone rang. It was my mother calling. As soon as I picked up the phone, she scolded me. "Leah, are you crazy? How can you call the police to arrest your sister and brother-in-law? How could I give birth to such an ungrateful person like you? If anything happens to your sister and brother-in-law, I will never forgive you." My eyes were filled with tears. "Do you know what they did to me? Isn't it just that your sister is pregnant and wants you to accompany your brother-in-law? Your sister is doing this to flatter you. Others want to sleep with your brother-in-law but can't. You really don't know how to flatter. Go to the police station now and get your sister and brother-in-law out, otherwise I will never forgive you." My tears fell. At this moment, my mother exhausted the last bit of affection I had for her. "Leah, what did Auntie say to you?" I wiped my tears. "Nothing. I suddenly changed my mind and decided to get my sister and Charlie out. After all, with Charlie's financial resources, this crime can be settled with money. My sister only experienced a part of my past life. Since she likes my life so much, she should be allowed to experience it in detail. And Charlie, I will make sure he never has a chance to turn things around." Chapter 6. I went to the police station and asked for reconciliation. When I came out of the police station, Alex protected me behind him. "This time Leah let you go because of family ties. If you do anything to hurt her again, I will definitely pursue you to the end." My sister rolled her eyes at Alex. "That's all you can do." She took Charlie's arm. "Husband, let's go home." Charlie's eyes were filled with viciousness. I knew that he was going to vent his anger on my sister. He was like this in his previous life. Whenever he was unhappy or suffered a setback outside, he would vent all his anger on me when he came home. Every time that happened, I would be beaten all over by him. I wanted to escape from him countless times, but I was afraid that he would hurt my mother and sister. So no matter what Charlie did to me, I endured it. I just thought that I would die, as long as my mother and sister were safe. But they were not worth it for me to endure so much for them. That night, I received a call from my sister. "Leah, please come and save me. Your brother-in-law locked me in the house and I can't get out." "Heather, what bad ideas are you and Charlie planning again? I really didn't lie to you this time. My stomach hurts so much. There's blood, so much blood. Please come quickly, I'm so scared alone." They just got out of the police station today, so they shouldn't dare to play tricks again. It seems that my sister is really in trouble. I called a locksmith for her and drove to her house. When I arrived, the locksmith had just opened the lock, and I saw my sister lying at the door, with blood all over the floor. "Sister." My sister was still conscious. "Hurry up and take me to the hospital, my child." I quickly got her into the car and drove her to the hospital. After handing her over to the doctor, I called my mother. But I didn't know what my mother was doing and she didn't answer the phone. I drove back to my sister's house. The lock cylinder was damaged when I opened the lock just now, so the door was not locked, so I went in directly. There was no one at home, so I went straight to Charlie's study on the second floor. I turned on his computer and entered the password skillfully. Because Charlie liked to secretly film the couple's life, surveillance cameras were installed in every place in the house. I secretly copied today's surveillance and left quickly. When I returned to the hospital, I learned that my sister's child was gone. She got angry at me. "Where did you go just now? You actually left me alone in the hospital. Don't you know how vulnerable I am now? You should stay with me all the time. The one who stays with you all the time should be your husband. Where is your brother-in-law? I don't know where he died. Why did he lock you in the house and you had a miscarriage?" My sister was instantly emotional. "It's all because of you. If you hadn't bitten off your brother-in-law's ear, would he have taken his anger out on me? My child is gone. Give me back my child." "You're mistaken. If you hadn't hurt me first, I wouldn't have bitten off Charlie's ear. He wouldn't have beaten you, and you wouldn't have lost your child. In the final analysis, your child was killed by yourself." "No, it's not me, it's you." What a lunatic. I turned around and left, too lazy to talk nonsense with her. When I got home, I imported the copied surveillance footage to my computer. I fast-forwarded and finally saw the scene of them entering the house together. The video was very clear, and I could even clearly see half of Charlie's ear. As soon as he entered the house, he slapped his sister. "Bitch, you and your sister are both bitches." Chapter 7. The sister covered her face and looked at Charlie in disbelief. "You hit me, but I'm pregnant with your child. Are you a human being?" Charlie got even angrier when she said that. "Just because you're pregnant, do I have to worship you as my ancestor? Screw you." He kicked my sister in the stomach, and she fell on her back. Then he stepped on my sister's head and crushed her with great force. My sister held Charlie's feet and begged him not to do this. But Charlie not only didn't listen, but used more serious violence on her. The violence lasted for an hour. After Charlie had beaten my sister enough, he left her there and ignored her. After he went out, he locked the door and left no chance for my sister to survive. I breathed a sigh of relief and turned off the video. At this time, a phone call came in. It was my mother. Leah, your sister called me several times and I didn't answer. I called her again but couldn't get through. Did she contact you? My sister was beaten by my brother-in-law. She is in the hospital now. What, Charlie, how can you do this to your sister? Come and take me to the hospital. I drove to pick up my mother and went to the hospital with her. When my sister saw my mother coming, she immediately started to cry. Mom, Charlie is not a human being. I want to divorce him. My mom cried when she saw my sister crying. How could Charlie beat you like this? Where is he? He must have found another vixen outside. I can't live like this anymore. My sister looked at me. Aren't you studying law? How much property can you get for me if I divorce you? I'm not a professional divorce lawyer. I can't help you. Why are you so useless? You've wasted your time studying. If I had known you were so useless, I should have let you marry Charlie and I would go to school. I laughed. Sister, you forgot that you knelt down and begged me to let you marry Charlie. I did it for you. If I didn't marry Charlie, how could you have money to study? Indeed, if it weren't for your 20,000 yuan betrothal gift, I wouldn't be able to come to Taipei. Let's do this, call Charlie back and let's talk about divorce. My mother glared at me fiercely. Divorce? Don't push your sister to get a divorce. I think you're just jealous of your sister's good marriage. She turned around and advised my sister, Heather, if you divorce Charlie, where can you find a man with such good conditions? Don't you want that big villa and sports car? Mom, I really can't live with Charlie anymore. Don't you know he's a pervert? Mom sighed, even if you want to divorce, you have to get more money from Charlie. Do you have 300,000 yuan in your card now? Give it to Mom first, I need it urgently. My sister was stunned. Mom, you won't lose playing cards with those rich ladies again. How many times have I told you that you can play cards, but don't play so big? You lose hundreds of thousands every time. Where can I get so much money for you? Then my son-in-law is so profitable, I can't play cards. Give me the money quickly, those ladies are waiting for it. I promise I won't play again in the future, this is the last time. Chapter 8. I don't have money, you have to wait for Charlie to come back if you want money. You kid, Charlie gives you so much pocket money every month, and you don't even say to save some. I still think it's not enough to spend. With your spending speed, if you really want to divorce Charlie, what will you do in the future? My sister pursed her lips and didn't say anything. I knew she hesitated. The next day, I came to deliver food to my sister. Charlie was there too. It seemed that they had reconciled. My sister showed me the sapphire on her neck. This is an apology gift from your brother-in-law. It's worth 3 million. I forgive him because he is so thoughtful. Charlie made way. You can talk to your sister. I'm going to smoke a cigarette. I kept staring at the necklace on my sister's neck. Sister, can you show me your sapphire? My sister took off the necklace. Let me show you. Don't break it. You can't afford it even if you work hard all your life. I looked at the sapphire in my palm. It felt full of plastic. I had seen good things in my previous life. Charlie was generous and gave me many gems, but the one in my hand was obviously a fake. It seems that Charlie's business has gone wrong, otherwise he would never buy fake goods to deceive my sister. I returned the sapphire to my sister. Such an expensive thing, you must keep it well. After leaving the hospital, I thought of my previous life. At that time, Charlie's business also went wrong. In order to save his company, he took me to various dinners. He was so crazy that he asked me to sleep with those big bosses. When I didn't want to, he threatened me to post the video of our married life on the internet. If nothing unexpected happens, my sister will soon experience what I have experienced. For 2 months, my sister didn't contact me. I saw her again at the door of a hotel. Alex and I were buying flowers on the street. My shoelaces just came undone, and Alex squatted down to tie them for me. In front of us was a 5-star hotel. My sister walked out with a short and fat man. When they parted, the man pinched my sister's butt. I kept staring at my sister, and she saw me when she looked up. She walked towards me and glanced at Alex inadvertently. She looked at the flowers in my hand. Your boyfriend gave you such cheap flowers. You should go to a proper flower shop to buy flowers. The flowers in this street stall are small and not fresh. I think it's good. Who was the man you were with just now? A client. At this time, my sister's phone rang, and she picked it up impatiently. Well, he has been sent away. I just accompanied Mr. Lee, and now Mr. Chen is here. Charlie, I am your wife, not a lady. My sister hung up the phone angrily, and then she realized that Alex and I were there. Well, there are too many customers. I can't handle the drinking parties one after another. I smiled slightly. Sister, you don't need to explain, I understand. Alex put his arm around my shoulders. Are you hungry? There is a delicious Sichuan hot pot restaurant in front. I will take you there. Sister, do you want to join us? I won't go, you guys go. My sister can't eat spicy food. Alex and I walked forward hand in hand. I knew my sister was watching us from the spot. I don't know if she regrets it now, that she didn't cherish Alex in her previous life. Chapter 9. A few days later, Alex picked me up from get off work. He suddenly said, "Your sister added me on WeChat and said a lot of bad things about you. She also showed me kindness and asked me to meet alone. I think it's better to tell you about this matter and let you handle it." I didn't get angry when I heard it, but I felt speechless. "Are your chat records still there?" "Yes." "Screenshot all of them and send them to my phone." Alex sent all the chat records to my WeChat, and I opened them. My sister told Alex that I had a messy private life and had been dating since junior high school, and I often stayed out all night. She also said that I was an ungrateful person, and if it weren't for me, she would never have married Charlie. She also said a lot of ambiguous words to Alex, and wanted to buy him a sports car and a large apartment. I laughed after reading it, and Alex quickly said, "I don't believe what she said, I know what kind of person you are best." I teased her, "Then my sister wants to buy you a sports car and a large apartment, wouldn't you be tempted? If she divorces Charlie, she might get a lot of money." Alex hugged me in his arms. "No matter how much money you have, it's not as good as the people around you. I am already very satisfied to have you around me. Besides, I can buy sports cars and apartments by myself, I don't need others to give them to me. Well, we work together, and one day it will come true." Alex pinched my nose and said with a smile, "Silly, I'll take you to see our new home." Alex took me to a large flat in the city center. "Do you like this house? You can decorate it however you want." I was stunned. This house is not only in a good location, but also large. Standing in front of the huge floor-to-ceiling window, you can directly see the Forbidden City. "Is this house yours?" "Yes, I wanted to take you to choose, but my parents were anxious, so they decided on the house first. If you don't like it, we can look at other houses." I always thought that Alex's parents were ordinary people, but I didn't expect them to be so powerful. "What do your parents do?" "They run a supermarket." Later I learned that the largest chain store in Taipei City belongs to Alex's family. It turns out that he is an invisible rich second generation, the kind who will go home to inherit the family business if he doesn't do well as a policeman. "Since you are so rich, why don't you treat my sister and brother-in-law to a meal at a high-end restaurant? Is that okay?" "Of course." So I called my sister and Charlie out together. When my sister saw that I had booked such a high-end restaurant, she immediately showed a questioning and sarcastic expression. "Alex is rich, and you invited us to such a high-end restaurant." My sister looked at the menu and started to be sarcastic again. "Don't be so swell-faced to save face. After this meal, I guess you will have no living expenses for this month. Otherwise, let us treat you. My brother-in-law's company has not been doing well recently, otherwise why would he ask you to accompany the client? Alex can afford this meal. If the salary is not enough, there are still parents to support me." Alex smiled and said, "Yes, my parents gave me a supermarket. I have 2 incomes now, so it's okay." My sister sneered, "How much money can a supermarket make?" Charlie tried to smooth things over. "My sister and brother-in-law are kind enough to treat us. Why are you so talkative? Let's eat." Charlie's attitude was particularly good today, probably trying to ease the relationship between us. We chatted casually, and after dinner I said, "Alex and I are going to his supermarket, do you want to come with us?" My sister rolled her eyes. "What's so good about a small supermarket?" Charlie elbowed her. "Okay, I just want to go to the supermarket to buy something." When we got there, my sister was dumbfounded. Chapter 10. Alex's supermarket has 5 floors. The first and second floors are home appliances, the third floor is home furnishings, the fourth floor is food, and the fifth floor is an indoor children's playground and catering. "Is this store yours?" "This is impossible." I looked at my sister's broken expression and couldn't help laughing. I didn't believe it at first, but now that I know he is so good, I feel that I am not worthy of him. Alex hugged me and kissed me. "Who said that? I think we are the best match." My sister's face was ashen, her eyes were straight, and I didn't know what she was thinking. When Charlie saw that Alex was so rich, he immediately tried to get close to him and even talked about cooperation with Alex. "Brother-in-law, let's go out and relax today, not talk about construction. I have something personal to tell you." "What personal thing? Can you spend more time with my sister?" "Otherwise, my sister is lonely and always chats with my boyfriend and asks him to meet. My sister has no sense of boundaries, so you should give her some advice." Charlie's eyes widened. "You often chat with Alex and ask him to meet?" Sister panicked. "No, don't listen to Leah's nonsense." "I'm not talking nonsense, the chat records are still here, brother-in-law, can you see it?" Charlie snatched my phone away, and his expression became more and more ferocious the more he looked at it. "Ah." Charlie smashed my phone to pieces. I had expected him to do something radical, so I brought an old cell phone that I had discarded before. "Heather, you are trying to cheat on me." Sister's face changed drastically. "Why can I accompany clients but not other men? Now that Alex is rich, you can just treat him as your client, isn't that enough?" The key is that Alex doesn't like you. Can't you see that he is so annoyed with you? Look at you, you are so cheap, you are almost naked and lying on the bed. Brother-in-law, stop arguing here, so many people are watching. Charlie grabbed my sister and said, go home, don't embarrass yourself here. My sister suddenly grabbed me and said, Leah, save me. He will beat me to death if we go back, I can't go back with him. It's my fault, I'm sorry. Please don't let him take me away, please save me. I looked at her coldly, sister, isn't this the path you chose? My sister was dragged away by Charlie, and she looked at me desperately, Leah, I hate you. That night, my mother called me crying, Leah, your sister was caught by the police for murder, you must save your sister. Who did she kill? She killed your brother-in-law. I finally let go of my hanging heart, so she is absconding for fear of crime? Don't say those useless things, aren't you a lawyer, isn't your partner a policeman? You must save your sister, or I will die in front of you. As a proxy lawyer, I met my sister who was detained. My sister's eyes were full of bloodshot, and she must have not slept for several nights. She was very emotional when she saw me, Leah, you must save me. I didn't mean to kill Charlie, he wanted to kill me, so I killed him by mistake. I looked at her calmly, sister, now you know what kind of life I used to live. My sister was stunned for a long time before she reacted, well, you are also reborn. You knew this was a fire pit, but you still watched me jump in, how can you be so vicious? How can this be a hellhole? Isn't this what you would rather kill your own sister for? My sister collapsed on the ground and burst into tears, I regret it now, I know I was wrong. Leah, please forgive me, please save me, it's too late. If you had cared more about me in your previous life, you would know that I was not doing well at all. I had injuries on my body every time I met you, but you completely ignored it. You only paid attention to my clothes, but never cared about my body. I left the detention center and collected information waiting for the trial. On the day of the trial, I acted impartially and did not show favoritism. In the end, my sister was sentenced to death for intentional homicide. My sister was dissatisfied and wanted to appeal, but the court directly rejected it. My mother fainted when she learned that my sister was sentenced to death. When she woke up again, she became stupid and stupid. I sent her to a nursing home and hired a nurse to take care of her. Alex proposed to me, and I agreed. He held a grand wedding for me, and we got married with the blessings of relatives and friends. After marriage, he took care of all the housework and cooked delicious food for me every day. He made me fat. He gave me the warmth I had never experienced before and made me realize that marriage can be so happy. Soon I became pregnant. I felt the little life in my belly growing day by day. I believe our future will be better.